Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Ascent the Space Game. So Ascent the Space Game is a massive multiplayer online space simulation where you can do a lot of things like trading, exploring, mining, building, even do some politics, and it's currently on early access on Steam and developed by Fluffy Kitten Studios. So I'll divide this review in a couple of different sections. First of all, I'll talk a bit about gameplay, then I'll go a bit into graphics and updates, and then my overall conclusion. So yeah, and gameplay wise, the first thing you will probably notice is that the UI, the user interface, is pretty minimal. Um, the developer has acknowledged this and he's actually looking into hiring a UI artist. But at the moment, yeah, it's not very pretty, but it's very functional. Like everything works fine and it takes a bit of getting used to. But once you did, it just plays like any other game. So it's not really a problem, but it's not the most pretty thing to look at. Then I would like to go into a bit of the physics. So this game actually has proper physics. So the planets have gravity, and when you fly, you have Newtonian physics, but you can circumvent these physics while flying by putting on your grav anchor. And this makes for a very fun dynamic, especially during mining, because when you mine, you have to be in a certain range of the asteroid and you need to heat it up for a certain amount of time in order to gain maximum yield. But the asteroid is not standing still, it's actually orbiting planets, for example. And you need to chase this asteroid while trying not to get hit by it. And by putting on your grav anchor, you are more stable and you can decelerate easier, but you can also turn way less fast. So mastering when to put on the grav anchor and when not actually makes for a really fun mining experience. It's actually the first game I know where mining is actually slightly interesting. So that's definitely a big plus. The ride mechanics are great. The gameplay is quite deep, and if you really want to compare it to other games, I guess it has a lot in common with EVE Online, but it's very much a player versus environment type of game. So you can't really lose anything, unlike in EVE Online. And it also has some similarities to the X series. So yeah, if you are a person looking for a lot of action, very fast gameplay, Twitch-based gameplay, stuff like that, then this game is definitely not for you. The game is actually fairly slow. It's a very long-term game, so basically you normally start off in a very small ship, and then you have a lot of activities to do in order to make more money, such as mining and trading and hauling, stuff like that. You can also do some combat missions to earn extra money. And once you get into bigger ships that can haul more materials, you can start building your starbase, where you can add a lot of modules that can produce things for you. You can do research, you can build your own ship, stuff like that. And you can start looking into settlements. These settlements they will produce certain resources for you, such as meat or fruit or iron, and they range from like the really cold, snowy planet of Vestra to the really pretty beachy Uberta system, and to the very volcanic Sol Invictus. So these settlements are actually quite cool, and you can really optimize the way you build these, because buildings get certain amount of bonuses depending on next to which buildings they are. You need to feed your residents with grain, fruit, vegetables, and meat so that they're very happy and work more. So you optimize your yield and all that. Once you basically set up your starbase and settlements and you mine a lot, you have a nice big ship, then it's time to start colonizing. So you can actually colonize planets here, and well, there's 250 billion star systems in this game. The universe is absolutely humongous, it's ridiculous. And you can explore these systems, and if you're the first one to explore a system, it actually is named after you. So that's quite cool. You can put your name on a lot of star systems, and you can sample these planets. You can land on them, and you can take a soil sample to see kind of which minerals are in there, and is it fertile for growing fruit, for example. So you can really analyze a planet thoroughly to decide if you want to settle on there. note that you can't really own a planet, so other people could also settle on your planet, and there's definitely a lot of planets with a lot of settlements on them. One example is, for example, Carbonite in the Black Hell system. It's a ridiculous planet regarding carbon production, and a lot of people like carbon production because it earns you a lot of money. And this planet has been terraformed. Yeah, so in this game, terraforming has been implemented and is still being implemented as well, where basically planets are transformed from a very uninhabitable state to basically Earth-like conditions. And this has several advantages because normally when you settle on a planet, it's not very friendly to human beings, and you need to start putting down environmental domes. These domes will basically ensure that humans can live there, although you need to program them, for example, to vent in certain gases. Then you can split the molecules or the atoms from those gases and build new molecules like water, and then you can vent out all the poisonous stuff, and you can really create the conditions that are perfect for human beings. And once you did that, you can start building buildings in there, such as hospitals and mines and residential areas and entertainment complexes. There's quite a lot of buildings, and they all help in order to keep people satisfied, in order that they want to work for you. And once they want to work for you, you will produce a lot of resources that either you can use to build other stuff or to sell to people, and make a lot of money. Once you did that, there are several things that are being done as kind of like end game activities at the moment. For example, gate building is a big thing. So as I said, the universe is extremely big, right? So 250 billion star systems, and there is a fair amount of planets that are really nice to settle on. But in order to go to these planets, you need a so-called hyperdrive in order to actually jump from system to system. But this costs a lot of hydrogen and is generally quite a lot of effort. So people like to connect the universe to each other, and the developer gave them the possibility to build warp gates. However, these warp gates cost an extreme amount of resources, like really millions upon millions upon millions of resources, and also some resources that are really hard to get. So basically, the community really banded together and started building these gates in order to connect a lot of systems together, so that everybody has an easier time getting to the nice asteroid belts and getting to the nice planets to settle on and all that. And because well, there's not really any conflict in this game. You can do some PvE combat, but you can't really kill other players or stuff like that. But there are fairly hard endgame activities such as gate building that really require cooperation. The community has really is really something special in this game. Like, people are actually friendly to each other and they help each other getting their goals. So if you, for example, really want a gate done, you can petition other people like, hey, would you please help me build this gate? And then people see what they can do, and they might, for example, one person might be producing a lot of iron for the gates, so he will release all his iron for very, very cheap so that people can buy it for like 1 credit. And then they will haul it to the gate and build it there. And it really creates a certain amount of teamwork, where some people will produce iron, others will produce carbon, others will be skimming gas giants for tritium, which you also need. Others will be hauling it to the gate and all that. So there's really a lot of collaboration going on, and that really distinguishes it from other games where community is often very antagonistic. People don't want to help you. And that's very, very special in this game. So if you're looking for any kind of like conflict-based things, then this is definitely not the game for you. The developer is thinking about implementing PvP at some point, although that will be restricted to some areas. He is very adamant about the fact that he doesn't like it if you work for hours and hours and hours on something that can be destroyed. So he is never ever going to implement something like that. Just so you know, if that influences your decision whether you want to buy this game or not. The game has a small premium, so you can actually buy the game for free. You can buy the game and then you can play it for free. But you can also subscribe to a very cheap premium. The price is extremely fair. It's much cheaper than other online games that I know of. And that gives you some perks in the game. And yeah, I definitely, personally, I think it's very much worth it. But of course, that's up to you to decide. In any case, if you buy it on Steam, you will get 3 months for free premium. So you can basically test out the game for 3 months before you have to decide whether you like it or not. And that's not even completely true. You can activate the premium whenever you want, so you can play for free as long as you want. Then at some point, if you want the perks, you can activate the 3 months premium, and then after 3 months, you can decide whether you like it or not. Yeah, so that's basically about the gameplay. So the gameplay is very deep. It's there's lots to do. I at the moment have more than 200 hours in the game, and only now I'm really starting to see the end point at the moment of the gameplay, if you could say it like that. Like at the moment, I'm just building my colonies are big, but there's nothing really much new anymore to do for me at the moment. But that cost me 200 hours to get to that point, which brings me to the update schedule. So this game is in early access, and I have actually been very much impressed by the update schedule, especially because this is all done by one man. And the updates, they range from very little things to very big things. For example, in the 2 months that I've been playing, a new ship has been introduced, the Archon, which I'm flying here. The user interface has also been significantly improved. For example, as you can see here, all the planets and settlements and everything used to be grouped into one menu, but now we actually divided it up into 2 menus, one for autopilot to like planets and stars, and the other one for settlements. Very small change, but all these kind of little things that make it better over time is really nice. Also, now that he has a full-time artist, the art also has been improving a lot. So for example, we recently got really nice cloud graphics as well. So at first, clouds were kind of like just kind of a bit of a haze on a planet, while now at the moment we've got fairly realistic clouds. So now the developer has actually made a forum post that he's very hard busy working on NPCs. He really wants to make the world come alive. So that will probably entail that we will be able to hire NPCs that we have to try and keep happy, because otherwise they might desert us. But we can give those NPCs our ships, and then they can fly those ships in order to haul stuff, for example, from one to another colony, to basically set up a NPC trading network like that. And everybody will be able to do this. So he's really trying to make the world come alive, and I'm being fairly impressed by the schedule of updates. Then I would like to talk a bit about graphics. So as you've seen in this video up until now, the game has fairly basic graphics. So if you really care about graphics, then this might not be the game for you. That said, I personally don't have any problems with the graphics, especially like after a couple of minutes you're very much used to them and you will be drawn in by the depth of the gameplay instead of the graphics. But the game can actually also look really nice on occasions. I think the atmosphere of space is quite nice done. And as you can see here, it kind of implements as well with the update schedule. The graphics keep being updated. So, for example, at first we had this planet here in the system of Veritas, and now the textures got updated to these. So slowly, basically, they're building upon making the game more beautiful. That said, it will never ever look like the best game you've ever seen. So if you think that's really important, then you might want to shy away from this game. I personally think it looks really nice, but I'm also not really a person that really cares about graphics, so take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, so that's basically my review of the game. As you can hear from what I have to say, I'm very happy with my purchase. I've been playing this now for a long time, and I'm really enjoying it. That said, at the moment I'm a little bit bored by the game, as I don't have so much to do anymore. I see a lot of other players are definitely not bored yet. They just really enjoy expanding their colonies and settlements and whatever. I personally now kind of reached a point where I'm building my colony, but I don't really see why I'm doing it at the moment, because, well, there is not much to do after the colony building except for hauling two gates and all that stuff. That said, it already gave me 200 hours of really fun time, and the game is in early access, and I'm really looking forward to, for example, this NPC update, and I will be really happy playing it again. So my being bored, it take that with a really big grain of salt, because I've been playing it already for 200 hours. Plus it's early access and it's far from finished, so there will be content updates all the time that will make it that will add so much more stuff to do. So yeah, if I had to grade the game between 0 and 10, I'm basically not sure what I would give it. I guess the first couple of weeks that I played it, I would easily give it a 9 out of 10, and because the depth is just it's a very deep game. Like, you can do a lot. You can mine, and everything is kind of scientifically built. So you have like Newtonian physics, but also the minerals that you can find in each asteroid. They kind of make sense with how it could be in real life and all that. So I really like that kind of stuff where the developer clearly knows what he's talking about. And I would, yeah, easily give it a 9 out of 10. And now, after those 200 hours, I can still see it being a 9 out of 10 for many people. But as I said, for myself, I'm getting a bit slightly bored with it until the next update. So for me at the moment, I would say like an 8 out of 10 or something like that, if I would have to put a score on it. But it's really a fantastic game. I definitely suggest you check it out. Yeah, and with that, I hope you found this review useful, and see you next time.